So what I came to talk about today is our apartment programs. We were lucky to be chosen by Dakota County back in, I would say, December of 2009. Opened our first program in March of 2010, and it's called the Salem Green Apartment Program. One of the things that was really important to Dakota County when we were developing these programs is that we made sure that they were community-based. So what we were looking at was really large apartment complexes. We looked for apartments that were nice, but people could afford. A lot of our people that are coming to us may or may not be working. People who are still living at home, that maybe their parents were aging out and they needed to get out on their own, or they graduated from high school and were now looking at being on their own and working in the community. So Dakota County said, how are we going to service these people? So they came up with a funding pool. They were kind of preparing for these people to come through. They'd been sitting at home, not being able to get services because they weren't crisis. So they created those. All of our funding comes from the DD waiver, the TBI waiver, and the CADI waiver. So we built it, and not only did DD people with developmental disabilities apply, people with mental health issues, TBI issues applied. And I took a really good look at the program and said, is this a DD program, or is this a program servicing people with needs wanting to live in the community? So our new project that we started for Park Place, when we put the proposal in, we were very clear that we did not want to do a CADI. We did not want to do a CADI program. We didn't want to do a TBI program. We didn't want to do a DD program. We wanted to provide a community apartment program that provided supports to people who needed these needs. Our sites cost anywhere from let's say $50 when you first move in. There's only 4 people, and it breaks down as time goes on. So the first 4 people may be at $159 a day is what it costs for them to be there. By the time you get to like the 14th, 12th person, it drops down to about $80 a day. We have several young moms in our groups that are being supported within our apartment program. Both moms that we have in Salem Green are both developmentally disabled on the waiver. Their children are not on the waiver, but they are at risk for child protection. So we've done a lot with parenting groups, and we provide support. We provide 24 hours a day support, not necessarily face-to-face on site. We do have most of our staffing is over the evenings, during the evenings, and on the weekends. We do have emergency staff available from 8 to 2. They respond to the Sengistix system, as well as any other outside calls that might come in from day programs, families, clients, any consumers that might be having some difficulty. And our staffing pattern, again, is 24-hour emergency. We have approximately a 1-to-4 staff ratio in the evenings and on the weekends. We provide a lot of the same services that the waiver site does. We're just not in everybody's face 24 hours of the day. There might be 4 apartments that one person's working out of, so they could be in and out. They might see one client on Monday for maybe only 15 minutes, checking to make sure meds were taken. They have a plan for their day or help them plan their day, and then maybe working with somebody else for 3 hours that day, and then it flips around and they're working with somebody else according to how the clients decide they want to set up their week. So a lot of their input is put into how we provide those services. We have people in there providing services much like you would in a waiver site in the evenings and on the weekends. But our overnight is where the savings is really the biggest part for the county and for everybody else and for the waivers, is we have one awake night overnight staff that's housed out of either the hub apartment in Salem Green or the hub office in Park Place. And they're awake from 10 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning, providing services, responding to emergencies, monitoring for alerts through the computer should there be a problem with any of our sensors. And then from 8 to 2, when people are generally gone to work, that's when we put our administrative staff in there, like our management staff, and they're in there doing paperwork, but they also might be taking an appointment or something else. So we always provide each one of our apartment complexes with a landline, a land phone that's portable, as well as a cell phone, so that more than one staff could be walking around and not stuck in that office, being able to provide services. And we set up a specific criteria for each person moving in, how many hours they're going to need, when they're going to need them, how the supports will be put in place, what monitoring systems they're going to use, because not everybody needs everything. Some people need more monitoring than other people. Are you going to use sensors, or are you going to use phone calls? Are we going to be setting up people's meds, or are they taking them independently? We've had wonderful feedback, not just from IDT members, which is wonderful, from the county, which is wonderful, but the most amount of the positive feedback we've gotten is for the people that are living there. They are so excited to be living in their own apartments. And people always say, well, what about the technology? Doesn't that scare them? Don't they feel like Big Brother's watching? First off, in our setting, we have no cameras. Everything is a motion detector or a sensor that reads when a door opens or closes, or where you open or close your med box or your med cupboard. We don't have anything that would actually be able for us to be able to look into somebody's apartment. If we need to look in, that means we're knocking on the door and the people are letting us into their apartments. So the best feedback we've got so far has been from the people that live there. And that's why we do the job that we do. And one of the things, the feedback I got from the owner of our company is he's never been so overwhelmed by so many people who wanted to stop and talk to him and thank him for the opportunity of being able to live out on their own. People who had lived with their parents or had lived in a waivered site or lived, in an apartment and it didn't work because they didn't have enough supports, they were very thankful to have those supports in place. And you would be really surprised how much people are willing to give up in spending money and activities to have their own apartment. I've worked with several clients and they say, I always wanted to do, usually like to go to the movies every week. I like to eat out 4 or 5 times a week. They're like, forget it. If it means I have to go back to a group home or I have to move back to mom's house, I'll start cooking meals and I will go on a budget, maybe go to the movies once or twice a month. One of the other things is this setting allows you to decrease some of the supports over time. Maybe there'll become a time where people don't need the technology. This is one of the things that I really was intrigued about doing this program is that this is their home. And I think people forget, in group homes and everything else, that these are these people's homes. This truly is, when they rent that apartment, their home. So should they graduate out of needing some of those supports, you can remove some of the staffing. You can remove some of the technology. You can do whatever you can, but they don't have to move. If they say, I love my apartment, I have it decorated the way I want, I don't want to leave here, but I don't need you as a staff team anymore, we remove ourselves and they stay in their home because it truly is their home.